As we enter December, have you considered where is your career headed in the next year? Are you ready to level up your leadership skills, or is it time to go all in on a job hunt? Have you spent any time on this question before, ever? Or do you just respond with the job hunt when you get frustrated at work or you get laid off? Too often, we let our careers drift, waiting for that next opportunity to come to us, or hoping the next role will just land in our laps or fall into place. But the truth is, the most successful women I work with do not leave their careers to chance. They choose their path and they plan for it strategically. And this is something I do with every single one of my clients. So in today's episode, I'm breaking down why you need to decide what 2025 is bringing for you: leadership job hunt or leadership career development, and how you can make sure that you transform your career trajectory by making this simple decision before the new year. So let's dive in and set you up for success in the new year. Most of us don't actively plan our career. I didn't for a very long time. And the thing is, the reality is that holds us back. Imagine how much more successful you could be if you approach your career with the long-term strategic thinking you approach your job. At work, we often as leaders need to be strategic. The more senior we get, the more strategic we need to be. We stop being reactive. We stop being so tactical. Tactical is something we do early in our careers. We're responding to the strategy that's been set for us, and we use tactics to deliver that strategy. But the further up you go, you're probably aware, the more strategic you get. But why don't we do that with our careers? In this episode, I want to talk to you about being strategic. Being strategic with what you do next. Is it time to level up your skill set? Or is it time to job hunt and being strategic in that decision? And I want you to make this decision because you have these two options ahead of you next year. Sometimes they are just thrown at us and we don't get a choice, like if we get laid off or let go. But if you can control it, you get to decide which path matters to you at this point. So if you are letting your career drift, I want to talk to you about the consequences that come from that and the opportunities from being more intentional. So let's talk about drift first. When you actively drift, it's because you are inactive in making a choice. You are saying, well, you know what, it's time for me to move on because I don't like my boss, or they promised me a promotion 3 years ago and it's still not happened, or this is totally toxic, I need to get out. Quite often, you're way past toxic by the time somebody actually leaves in that situation, in my experience. Or you get let go, and that's what pushes you into taking that next step. When we do that, our career stagnates. So many of the women who come to work with me have experienced this. They often come to me in this state. They are stagnating and they don't know what to do about it. I often find that we, in that sense, become focused on reaction mode. We're focused on the immediate needs of our situation. I need a bigger salary because my bills have gone up. Or my boss is a dickhead, excuse my language. I need to get out. Or I'm just not enjoying this anymore. And so often, I think that's one of the causes of why we end up leaving tech as well, because we're so unhappy. By the time we do something, we're so unhappy. We almost get forced into it. But what's the result of this? Other than people leaving tech, it's missed opportunities, slower progression, and huge amounts of avoidable frustration. But here's the thing, career success doesn't happen by accident. If you're looking around thinking, how did she get there? How did they achieve that? They were probably intentional about their growth. I mentioned that I was not intentional. When I became intentional, seriously, skyrocketed my career. Now, it required a bit of a bad thing to happen, toxic workplace. But when that happened, it made me more strategic. And suddenly, everything just fell into place. I decided to, first of all, I had to prioritize my development. And then once I'd done that, I prioritized my job hunt. I realized the job I wanted. I knew where I wanted to go. And this is what we're going to talk through today. I knew where I wanted to go. I needed more skills for. Now we're going to talk about how many skills you really need. But when I made that decision, it put me in control of my path. So I did some leadership development first, and actually it only took me like 3 months, way less time than I thought. And then I went out on the job hunt. And that meant that everything I was doing was really aligned with my long-term goals. I had long-term career goals. How many of you have long-term career goals? If you're listening to this and think, well, my goal is to retire at 60 or 55 or 65, or my goal is to maybe become a director one day, or I'd love to be a VP, but that's it. Like, we need to get a little bit more detailed than that. We need to look at why you have goals, right? We have goals as humans because we want to be lit up and excited, right? If you are feeling engaged with where you're headed, when it's tough on the journey, it's easier to move through it. If you don't have a goal, you don't know what you're aiming for, the journey sucks a lot of the time. So we need goals as humans. Sometimes that's the thing you're going to be doing next year, and that's okay. Like, one thing I'm doing with my coaching community ahead of the new year is we're doing what I call sparkle planning. We are looking at what makes us sparkle, what doesn't make us sparkle, what I call work-life coherence, and building our compass. Only once you've got your compass, your sense of direction, your North Star, where you want to head, can you then build your goal set. And I love my clients to have a 5-year goal and a 10-year goal. We then reverse engineer it into like what we're going to do in the next 12 months. But when they have all that and it's coherent, it really lines up, they make so much progress. So many of them get to their 10-year goal in 5 or less because they think of the pace that they've been going at until this point in their career. But by being strategic, they suddenly accelerate. That's certainly what happened for me. I've told you the story before in this podcast, how I got to my first C-level position within 7 years of finishing my PhD. That didn't happen by accident, but I tell you, the first 5 years did not help me get there. It was the 2 years prior to landing that C-suite role that got me there. I was very strategic. This doesn't happen by accident. Okay, let's talk about why you might want to pursue leadership development next year or skills development. If you know where you want to go and you're looking at job description thinking, oh gosh, I don't have the experience, that would be an obvious time to do leadership career like development work, right? You're looking at getting the skill set in place for you to be great in that future role. You're looking at building skills that mean you stay relevant in the industry as we evolve really quickly. And you're looking at building the leadership skills that are going to allow you to deliver at that level. Here's the problem with that. A lot of us look at a job description and think, oh gosh, no, I'm not qualified for that. I want you to get quantifiable. I want you to go through and say, have I got any experience for that little thing there? This sentence, have I got any experience at all? Even like a week's experience. If you do, it's a tick. If you genuinely have zero experience, zero, not even a week, not even a day, even 20 years ago, it's a cross. Go through that for every single thing. If you've got 50% crosses or more, it's time to do some leadership development or skills development. I'm focusing on leadership development because that's what I do, but skill development. If you've got 50% ticks or more, it's time to go for the role. So that's the quick way that I make the decision on when to do skill development versus career development, like landing the next job. What I would always advocate is, as a leader, and hopefully if you listen to this podcast, you are a leader, I would always focus on your leadership skills first. Because most of the time, if you're a leader, and by leader, I mean somebody who's really in a position where they aren't hands-on in the weeds, because if you are hands-on in the weeds, you're probably more of a manager, you've got some leadership attributes. The higher up you go, the more leadership you need to be using. The more you are a leader, the less you need to be hands-on, and therefore the less relevant your technical skills are. You need to be able to understand the room. But I've seen people in the last 12 months land jobs where they have had zero of the technical skills. They're just a kick-ass leader, right? And so I want you to really consider, should you be focusing on your leadership development or landing a job rather than technical skill development? Now, if you're a bit more junior, technical skills may be necessary up to the director level. If you're a director, it's kind of depends on the company. If you have more than 20 direct reports, you're probably not going to be hands-on. You shouldn't be hands-on. And therefore, you should be looking at your leadership skill development rather than your technical skill development. Your technical skill development at that point becomes knowledge rather than your ability to do the hands-on weeds. It becomes about reading books, webinars, attending events, understanding what's going on at that higher level in the specific industry you're in. When we focus on building our leadership development, we're talking about increasing our scope and our impact, not just in your current role, but in your entire career. So for example, if you're looking at applying for a job and you're looking at it and thinking, well, I just don't have any experience in leading a team through this kind of thing, you want to see if there's a skill you can build as a leader where you can influence that kind of thing. You might not officially lead the team, but you're influencing another team that's doing it, right? That's, in my mind, part of core leadership development, even though it isn't like a course you can go on. It's about putting yourself in the right room so you're influencing the right kind of projects and hopefully getting credit for it, because you're going to make sure that you get credit for what you do. If you were trying to make a decision whether leadership development should be your focus, I want you to ask yourself, is it time to move on because you actually are able and ready to move on? Are you happy in your current role? Are you growing in your current role? Do you see a clear path to that next level? Are you struggling to manage your team effectively or navigate organizational politics? There's opportunity for growth there. Or is it that the politics of the organization means that you're never going to thrive in that company, in which case it's time to move on? If you're seeing that there's some opportunities to grow in the current organization and they're real valid opportunities, not a hand wavy, when you do this, we'll give you a promotion, like there's a genuine path to that next level, then let's focus on your leadership development. Let's make that your 2025 focus. If there's anything wrong with the current company or you're stagnated, there's no growth, it's time to exit. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about why job hunt mode. If you feel like you're in a bit of a dead end, you've had when you do this, we'll promote you more than once. There's shifting parameters around that. Your leadership efforts are not going to take you any further. Your development is not going to take you any further. Look for red flags. Are you stagnating? Are you undervalued? Are you underpaid? If you want to know if you're underpaid, by the way, go to salary.com and put your title in, put the right location in, look at the 90th percentile. It's historically skewed data, so you need to look at the top end, okay? If you went and got a role today, you'd be at that 90th percentile. That's what you should be negotiating for. If you're not hitting that, you're underpaid. Are you hitting a ceiling that cannot be overcome? This might be a longer conversation. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. Please do reach out to me. Go to my LinkedIn profile, go to my website, book a call. Happy to have that conversation. Because I want you to understand where you've got opportunities to grow and where it's just going to be you banging your head against a brick wall. And then I want you to consider looking for opportunities, not just jobs. Job hunting isn't just about leaving a company. That's often what we think of. But I want your goal to be a new and exciting role that doesn't have to be outside your organization. It could be finding the role that aligns with your skills, your values, your career aspirations internally. If you've got a big enough company, you've got a company you like the way they operate, or there's a potential manager somewhere else. That's exciting. Promotions count as job hunting too. So if you are ready to up level your career, that is, right? Your skills are in place and you're just ready to get that next job title and you can see a path to promotion, that's your focus. And it kind of fits in this job hunting toolkit. I'm a huge advocate though of pursuing external roles as a fast track to getting somebody to give you a promotion. You can only play this card a couple of times in a company, but if you got a job offer and you're in a position where they love you and they're planning to promote you anyway, if you get a job offer, you can often bring that forward. So there's nothing wrong with job hunting as a way to help you get that promotion. But just bear in mind that if you say, I've got this offer, but I'd like to stay, what can you do for me? That if they say nothing, you've only got that one time to play that card. If you try and play it again because you stay, they won't believe you anyway. Next, I want you to be thinking about when job hunting should be a priority. The number one is if you're in a toxic environment. If you're underappreciated, you're stuck, microaggressions, passive-aggressive bosses, micromanagement, you're in a role that matches your skills, but you aren't using them. If you find that you're just losing energy, stressed, dreading work, it's time to move on. If you're telling yourself, I'm staying because my team, it's time to move on. Please do not prop up your company by keeping your team happy. That is bad for everybody. I've had so many conversations where a woman has said to me, I'm sure men do this too, by the way, just I work with women. I think we may be a little bit more susceptible to this. They tell me, I can't leave because my team. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is your company's toxic. You're shielding your team from it, great. But that means your team is staying in a toxic environment, which they will be exposed to a little bit, however good you are at shielding them. Because they probably feel as guilty as you do. They can't leave you because you aren't leaving them. And what you're all doing is propping up a toxic workplace. The best thing you can do is vote with your feet, all of you. So please, if you're in a toxic workplace, stop staying for somebody else. Get out. Everybody needs to get out. The only way we're going to get rid of toxic workplaces is by getting out. Stop shielding the company from people that go, you know what, I'm done, I'm out. Even in the current climate, yes. Even in the tough hiring market that we are in at the end of 2024, I'm seeing people landing jobs left, right, and center. You can too, and so can your team. So the next thing I want you to be considering is when you are deciding leadership development, skill development, or job hunt, I want you to understand, where are your gaps? If you're not moving forward in your career, you might be thinking, oh, I need to build my skills. Or you might be thinking, I need to move companies. Both are valid. But when is the other one actually the right one? So if you're struggling to grow as a leader, are you in the wrong role entirely? Are you in the wrong organization? Those are 2 reasons to job hunt. Is it that nobody values you? Is it that you're in the right role but doing the wrong things because you're in an organization that doesn't see your skills as something worth using? Those could all be reasons for moving companies. If you're struggling to grow as a leader and you feel like it should be the right role, it might be that you need to grow your skills first. So rather than panicking, I need a move, or panicking that I need to grow, really flip it around. Look at the other side. What's holding you back? Is it your skills or is it the environment? Knowing the answer is going to help you decide which path to prioritize. And I want you to know this before January 1. Because if we don't choose, there's a real cost associated with that. If we don't choose, we aren't acting intentionally. We stay stuck. We feel frustrated. We watch others pass us by. Your career is too important to leave to chance. I want you to actively decide between skill development or job hunting. Because when you do that, you're going to be reclaiming your career trajectory. You're going to be reclaiming your happiness. The final thing I want to talk about is the overlap between skill development and job hunting, particularly leadership skill development and job hunting. A lot of people come to me for either job hunting or I need to thrive in my current company. I need my executive presence. I need skill development, right? Come to me for one or the other. Here's the thing I always find. Job hunters always require work on their leadership skills. And every single one of the women I've coached through their career, like in a job, we've ended up working towards a promotion or a new job at partway in because they've up-leveled so fast, right? It isn't one or the other. The best roles aren't about ticking boxes. They're about showing who you are, showing your leadership potential. If you're job hunting, you need to be the best leader in the room as a candidate. You need executive presence. You need to have business awareness. You need to be developing the skills that open doors for you, both internally in your company and externally. A stronger leader, and I know strong leadership sometimes has a negative connotation for us as women, but a strong leader attracts more opportunities, whether they're promotions or job offers. You are going to attract more to you if you have looked at your leadership skills, if you turn up with more executive presence. But if you haven't chosen to work on either your job hunt or your leadership skill development, you're just going to be sitting in this limbo. You're not going to have the energy to do either. And you're definitely not going to be showing up internally or externally as the best version of you because you're sitting in limbo. Whenever I see somebody struggling with their career, I ask them, well, what are you focused on right now? What are you doing right now? Where are you going? So I want you to ask yourself this question. What is your focus right now? Do you know where you want to be in a year's time? Do you know where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years time? Do you know what you need to do in the next 3 months to get there? Have you made a plan? If you haven't, it's time to do that. I want you showing up the best possible version of you. I want you to have the energy to interview as the best possible version of you. I want you showing up every day as a leader, excited and delighted to work with your team because you're in the right place, doing the right job with the right people. And you know you're on the path to something that is really damn exciting. Take stock of your current situation. I ask you to do this before the year end. Are you growing? Are you stagnating? Are you in the right role? What's your next step? Don't let another year go by without actively taking control. Decide now. What are you going to do in 2025? And if you need me, remember, I'm always here. Click over to the show notes, book a call with me. I offer 25-minute free strategy coaching sessions for any women in tech. Pop over, book in. Let's have a chat through what you're going to focus on in 2025. Until next time, remember, stay on your tech leadership game and follow your dreams, because the world really does need your uniqueness as a leading woman in tech.